Why is it so hard to be in this, what everybody calls surrender, or in the flow, and to not want the need to control everything in our life, or have maybe, the easy way out of thinking, maybe someone just needs to tell me what to do and then it becomes easier. I am here to talk about a little bit what this surrender and in the flow means on kind of a different level that makes it maybe a little bit more practical in some areas of your life. In general, it can be very much used in the spiritual realms of, just be in the flow of the energy and all the things. And that can be really hard for all of us in the beginning. And so I'm here to talk about a little bit more on how to kind of break into that in a different way through some different modalities you can use, and then of course the different thought processes that actually can lead to that as well. So there is about 4 different things here that we can do to help ourselves break away from this aspect of just the materialistic world and allow ourselves to really expand into an energetic state that allows us to understand what means being in the flow, or letting go of control, or surrendering into this process, into this notion of being here on earth in this aspect. Many of us have obviously forgotten, for good reason, because that's a part of our spiritual experience of being human, is to forget who we are on a different level so that we can learn different things. But the thing about today's world is it's changing so fast. And so to be in surrender, or to lose the control of, what we think we're in control of, when really in reality it's just actually causing us more suffering. So the first thing you can do is to be more aware of how you're feeling on a daily basis. And by doing that, allows you to understand where you may be trying to control things, or where you may be more triggered or irritated by certain things because you don't feel like they're in your control, or there's nothing you can do about it necessarily in that moment. And allowing yourself to understand what the feelings are that are coming up around all those types of emotion and feelings as you move through your day, because awareness allows you to see where you may feel out of control, or you may be trying to control and maybe you just never noticed before. Okay, so awareness is always number one. The second thing is that you can allow yourself to be using different tools. So like in the morning, if you wake up and you're one of those people that flings outside of the bed and you're just like, oh man, it's already gonna be a crazy day, and that's kind of how you're starting off your day. I have so much to do, I got to figure it all out. That right there is already you trying to overthink on how to figure out how you need to do everything. And you aren't really probably setting up your day to actually be in a more neutral state to get clarity, or to feel like you actually can get stuff done. That could be, a bit of a list, but the list doesn't overwhelm you in a way where you feel you need to control how it's all getting done. So what I mean by that is, if you wake up and you decide today's going to be an easier day, I get to do this in a more enlightened way, or this gets to be less stressful today. When you start thinking those things and that you start to really feel like that's how your day can go, that's how your day is going to go. Because we have spoken obviously on different videos and other things, and we will go into more of creating our own realities, but that's part of the whole process, is thoughts behind it. So start off your day by thinking that it's going to be a good day and that you don't feel the need to have to figure everything out. And that will help the process of that energy that we were talking about, being a little bit more in flow with what is ahead of your day. Not only does it make it easier to deal with challenges, but now it does make it feel like it's easier to get more clarity on what actually is important and what is priority that you can actually take action on. The other thing would be to do your best to take moments throughout the day where you're just taking a moment to be present again. And again, that is kind of connected to the being aware of self, but to be present means that you are aware and you are taking a breath and allowing yourself to slow down enough. And again, by doing so, by slowing down, you are choosing to be in flow with what is happening rather than trying to figure it all out and feeling out of control. So in a wrap up, in a sense, and we'll come up to number 4 here, but in a wrap up of all that, in a sense, you can kind of see now where people will use the word surrender, but so many of us don't exactly have a great definition to surrender. And so it can be hard because that word surrender in general can actually cause us to freeze up and not, already have instantaneous resistance because we don't actually believe necessarily in that word, or the word doesn't feel very good to us. So we try to right away create a different emotion and be like, oh, well, surrender, I'm not doing that, like I'm in control, right? So to redefine some of your definitions will also help. The other thing, the biggest fourth piece of this as well, would be to not be afraid to ask and have conversation with other people. And the reason for that is because when we have conversation with other people, sometimes we start to recognize that maybe they have qualities or abilities and skills that could be really helpful for us, or we could be helpful for them. And so many of us today don't want to ask for that help. We don't have those conversations because a lot of people, which, understandable to certain degrees of where we are in our world right now, but a lot of us don't want to ask for help because we feel as though there's always going to be something maybe kind of hanging over our heads, or that we're going to owe them back something, or, we feel like, oh, now we've just indebted ourselves to yet another situation because if they help me, now I'm going to have to figure out some way to help them back. And so there's this dynamic that kind of starts to happen. Now, I'm not saying go and ask, for $1 million from somebody to help yourself necessarily, but in just the small acts of, hey, I could really use your help, or can I bounce an idea off of you, right? And because when we do that, we start to create this environment once again, because a lot of people do want to help each other. I mean, the majority of people really do enjoy being able to be, give their opinion or advice on this certain thing, but be sure you're asking for it, because of course there's going to be people out there as well that just want to spit on everything that they're thinking. And that's not exactly, what we're talking about here. We want it to be kind of a mutual agreement of, hey, can I bounce some ideas off you? Because again, what happens if we're not able to kind of talk through certain pieces, especially ideas or trying to find a solution to something, whether it be at work or in your life, then you can feel the need to, okay, well, my control of having to figure it all out is, very forefront. I need to figure this out myself. I need to do this by myself. I need to, right? And so when you bounce ideas off other people, now sometimes that gives you extra clarity or a different perspective that you needed. This is part of the physical aspect of this. The other side of that would, of course, then be going into a meditative state or asking your team for help and clarity and getting those answers that way. But not everybody is like that. So if you're new to this, or this is not something that you usually do, then try these few things and see how it goes for you.